Hey everybody, you're listening to Second Round Steals as we go through our 2015-2016 NBA team previews. Be sure to check out the rest of our previews, and don't forget to stay tuned with us for regular updates throughout the season. Hey everybody, we're back again to do our preview for the Detroit Pistons.
So last year they were 32-50. They were kind of competitive for the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs last year, but they eventually ended up missing the playoffs.
I mean, I feel like that says more about the Eastern Conference than anything else if you can challenge at 32-50. But yeah, so let's talk about their additions. Obviously, they got Aaron Baines from the Spurs. They traded for Marcus Morris. They got Danny Granger. Now, did they trade for Granger? No,
he signed outright. He was on the Suns, and I guess he just...
Oh, right, he got traded from the Heat to the Suns. That's what it was. Okay. They got Ersan Ilyasova. They got Steve Blake, and then they got Reggie Bullock. And obviously, their draft pick, they got Stanley Johnson.
He's a man.
I mean, he looked amazing out there in Summer League.
Mm-hmm. And as for their losses, everyone knows they got rid of Greg Monroe. They just didn't want him anymore. They let him walk. Tayshaun Prince left as well. Caron Butler is off somewhere, but he's publishing a book, which is great. And they also lost Sean Williams, and that's Sean with an E at the end.
I don't get what's up with Tayshaun Prince. He
Yeah,
keeps coming and going to the Pistons. I thought it was because he wanted to retire, similar to a Kevin Garnett going back to Minnesota thing, but now Tayshaun's in Minnesota, so I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, and even with Chauncey Billups, kind of involved with the team, I don't know what Tayshaun's doing. But at least it's good to see him still have a career. He's
the only one.
He hasn't been productive in 4 years.
Alright, so let's break down their lineup. Obviously, Reggie Jackson, fresh off that new $80 million contract, starting for point guard. Caldwell Pope should continue starting at shooting guard for this team. Small forward. Now, there's been a lot of suggestion that people have been just begging for them to start Stanley Johnson. I think they're just going to go with Marcus Morris because they need that shooting at the spot, and Johnson hasn't really shown that he can be a consistent shooter yet at this level. So I look to see that maybe be a battle later. Power forward, they're going to start Ersan Ilyasova, again for that spacing that Van Gundy loves so much. And center, still Andre Drummond, who they're looking to lock up at some point in the coming weeks.
Big season for him.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and one more note on that small forward issue, just really watch for Johnson. Because if he goes out there and he starts killing it offensively, his game is so much farther ahead than people expect it to be, he should definitely take that spot because his defense is way better.
He definitely looks NBA ready, but him trying to adjust to the speed of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And even him basically learning how to shoot, learning the Piston scheme, and agreeing with Stan Van Gundy is going to be one thing for him to figure out.
And honestly, I think if he challenges for that small forward spot, I think Moore should kind of replace Ilyasova, because I don't know if Ilyasova is really an NBA starter talent anymore, but we'll see what happens with that. So what do you have as the stat for this team, Cha?
I have it as 46%, which is Reggie Jackson's assist percentage. So after being acquired from the Pistons, from the Thunder, Jackson was surprisingly a good passer. A lot of people really questioned him and his ball distributing abilities, but in that second half of the season when he joined the Pistons, he was a pretty good passer. And I think he's going to be a key part of this team, especially with guys that need the ball and can't really create their own shots with Andre Drummond and Marcus Morris and even Ersan Ilyasova and Stanley Johnson to an extent. They really need somebody to get the ball and not just pound it and ISO all the time. And I think Reggie Jackson needs to make that next step if he really wants to live up to his contract.
Definitely. Yeah, and people are going to be looking for blood if he doesn't start doing that more. Nobody's really happy with this. Yeah, so for my stat, I have 3-point percentage for this team, because obviously we all know Van Gundy's scheme by this point. Van Gundy needs a 4-out, 1-in, focused around Drummond. And the Pistons have not been a three-point shooting team in a while. Obviously that's why they didn't want Greg Monroe anymore. There was no space in this lineup. Particularly Reggie Jackson. Like you were saying, is when he came to Detroit, he was a different player. And he, in 27 games, he put up, I think it was 34% from three, as opposed to his regular rate of, somewhere in the 20s.
Yeah.
So I would look for that. I want to see that consistency maybe carry over. Ball distribution, like you said, would be great too, but I want to see a redefined shot from Ersan Ilyasova or Stanley Johnson, Marcus Morris, any of these guys. They all need to start putting up numbers, Jennings was their best three-point shooter. Not even Caldwell Pope.
Speaking of Brandon Jennings, I don't really know what's going to happen with him this year.
Well, that's something that
he's going to be off the bench, but
that's going to be drama. That's going to be drama at some point because Jennings and Jackson are both very confident and
confidence a word to put it, right?
Yeah, confidence is definitely a way to put it. I don't know. I think unless Jackson continues his growth that he showed when coming to Detroit, Jennings might be the better overall player, though.
That Achilles tear, though.
That's true. It goes back to the same thing as Wes Matthews. But I mean, you saw how much he was killing it before he went down. But yeah, again, 3-point shooting for this team is going to be key. Like I said with Jackson, he's only 34%. Ilyasova was great because he brings in a career 37%, but he also was really injury prone.
Yeah, he hasn't really had a good year in the past 2 or so seasons.
Yeah, and he's only played 58 games at most the past 2 seasons, 55, 58. He hasn't been there, and I worry if they rely too much on him, he's just gonna kind of lose out again. Anyway, so big picture for this team. Drummond needs to really step up his game.
Yeah, last year he kind of had a down year. He averaged about the same points and rebounds, but his shooting percentage was down by 10 points. He shot at 51% instead of the 62% the year prior. And his free throw shooting, you just expected to get better, but it got worse. He shot at 39% from the free throw line. And then that could be a major issue for him, staying on the court at the end of games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think we need to see any more growth in the rebound department. Blocks, he's still been good, but I think we really need to see him become that defensive presence. Instead of chasing blocks and stats like that, I think he needs to just become more of a straight-up defender. Sort of in the mold like Tyson Chandler rather than a Dwight Howard. Also, a more refined post game would be great for him. Something to work with rather than just dunks.
I really don't think he has the skills or the footwork. I mean, he's definitely going to be a great garbage man for his career, but Drummond, I'm not really sure if he's going to be a Dwight Howard in the post. I mean, he'll probably run the pick and roll great with Reggie Jackson, but aside from that, I really don't see any growth from him from now on.
Well, other people that should grow candidates for them, I want to see Caldwell Pope. Honestly, it was kind of overshadowed by having Reggie Jackson and Jennings getting hurt and Greg Monroe drama, but Caldwell Pope did pretty well last year. Obviously, he wasn't efficient. His PR was 11, which is not good, but he went up to 13 points a game. His shooting took the step, he only shot 32% from 3, which is supposed to be his calling card. He shot 35% last year. His field goal percentage has still been an issue. Maybe that might grow. He's only shooting about 40% for his career. But I want to see another year from him, maybe of improving his overall shot selection. Yeah, and other things, you're going to see Ilyasova and Marcus Morris. I think they're going to be a lot better offensively now because they're just going to be 3-point shooters. That's it, and they don't need to cover the offensive glass. They don't need to worry about that stuff. They're just there for their spacing, and that's going to be. I think that's going to be really good for them. At least for Ilyasova, he don't have to bang around down low. He can just stand out on the perimeter. Also, big picture for them, look for the Jennings trade. He just signed Reggie Jackson to $80 million. Nobody's going to take that contract until he really shows it.
I think Jennings isn't expiring this year too.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure they're going to try and move him out because Jennings isn't going to be complacent being a six man.
Yeah. I think for my big picture assessment, pretty similar to yours, just looking for some spacing. And one thing that I really noticed about this team was how deep their front court is. We kind of forget like that big contract Aaron Baines signed with him. I think they signed Aaron Baines like as insurance to Andre Drummond because Aaron Baines is a really good free throw shooter and he's a good rebounder. He's definitely solid. So you might see a lot of him during the ends of games. And you'll also see Marcus Morris too. Whether they get his brother, that's almost a near possibility that Markieff is coming to Detroit. But yeah, I think
I find that so weird.
Front court depth.
I find that so weird that that's still an ongoing thing. Like, what did you want to be away from your brother?
Yeah.
From your twin? Like, come on, man. What are you,
like,
what are you
never
doing?
Been apart.
Yeah, like, they had one season, their rookie season, when they literally couldn't have been drafted by the same team.
They only played well when they were together, which is definitely really weird.
There's still Wonder Twin powers.
I guess even the Lopez twins or the Collins twins, Brooke and Robin definitely wouldn't be great together.
No.
I guess with the Morris twins, I think that's different.
I don't know. I guess we'll see more about that. So, excitement scale. What do you have them at?
I have them at a 3.0. Mostly because Stan Van Gundy is really entertaining. They have some really interesting players. Like, I'm not really that big of a fan of Reggie Jackson. I think he's kind of a ball stopper, but the stats, like I was mentioning before, kind of misprove that, but I don't really think he's that exciting. And he really might not live up to the contract. I think he's an average NBA starter, but he's not a star. But having Andre Drummond, having Stan Van Gundy, and possibly seeing Stanley Johnson develop and become one of the premier defenders or one of the premier wings in the league will be something to look out for. But other than that, there's nothing great about the Pistons. Nothing really that's really catching my eye.
I don't know. I took it in a different way than you. I gave them a 6 for their excitement. Okay. Just honestly, watching Jackson put up those ludicrous stat lines at the end, I think that could be just fun. The post improvement of Drummond we were just talking about, or just any improvement from Drummond, would be kind of cool to see. Stan Van Gundy screaming constantly, his mustache, his like face getting all red. I feel like that's just hysterical, and I kind of want to watch that. But also Stanley Johnson. Just Stanley Johnson, if he comes out and like kills it, that could be really fun to watch. Just a young player being good really early.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and also winning. I'm not saying that they're gonna, go to the championship, but I see them going into the playoffs in the East. I think they could take a spot. So it might not be essentially a lost season. I think they might be challenging to get into the postseason. Because I don't really see many teams. Like, there's obviously the whole East got better, but so the Pistons got better too. It's not like the Pistons sat there and like didn't make any moves. So I guess we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I kind of have them as a 8th seed kind of team.
Yeah, yeah.
I really don't see them doing anything major. There's always the possibility of a Jennings trade, but they can go either way, make the playoffs or not. But I think they're still building the team.
Definitely. And I mean, I don't know what you have them, but I see them being, maybe similar to what the Brooklyn Nets were last year, record-wise.
35, 40 wins.
Maybe like, 38. Right in between those two numbers. Like a 38 win team and getting that 8 seed.
As for social media, like we were talking about before, Stan Van Gundy, he's probably the most entertaining coach outside of Greg Popovich. His facial expressions and like him
just his voice, his voice.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that whole debacle? The
form a freaking wall.
Form a fucking wall, you mean?
Oh yeah, that. I think they won that game, so.
Yeah, I just remember that being played everywhere.
Yeah.
They messed up with the mic that night.
And I'm really looking forward to Andre Drummond's love life. I mean, there was the whole Jeanette McCurdy thing, but
Oh.
we haven't really heard anything from Andre Drummond.
It's because he's a bad kisser. No girl wants to go with
backing on
him.
the lane. Yeah, I mean, he's a great rebounder. So I guess after getting dumped by Jeanette McCurdy, he might have done pretty well. I just guess it's not as high profile as former star of iCarly.
No, nobody cares as much.
Yeah.
Maybe he got a girl that could actually, be equivalent in size. Someone that's not, like, ridiculous. So it's not like he's dating a Smurf.
Yeah. And I guess another social media thing is Reggie Jackson did the whip Nene dance on a hoverboard thing. So I guess that's a thing. So
That's interesting.
Reggie Jackson, might be a little bit more entertaining than Brandon Jennings.
I don't know. I miss, like, Brandon Jennings starting Twitter beef with J.R. Smith. Back in the day. So maybe Reggie Jackson could also start some Twitter beef with someone. That'd be cool.
Maybe against the Thunder. Who knows?
I want to see him and Cantor go at it. Alright, that's it for now, guys. Tune in next time.
Word.
Hey, thanks for listening to Second Round Steals, our NBA podcast. Please be sure to check out the rest of our 2015-2016 NBA team previews, and stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of different podcasts, probably weekly, and we'll be there every step of the way covering all the drama, great games, great plays, and highlights of the NBA season. So please be sure to check us out on iTunes, on SoundCloud, and on YouTube for your podcast needs. And stay tuned for more content outside of podcasts, like videos and articles, and even probably live discussions. Thanks for listening.